Good afternoon, children. Welcome to your I Learn English language class. Today we'll be doing chapter number 19, capital letters and punctuation, which is on page number 154 of your textbooks. Chapter 19, capital letters and punctuation. So capital letters and punctuations, all of you have been doing since you started learning English language. Punctuations are a very important part of any language. So punctuations always tell us, they indicate pauses. Okay, if there were no punctuations, we would often not understand what a particular sentence means. If you are going on writing a sentence without having any full stops, commas, anything, so that sentence will somehow lose its meaning. So punctuation marks are always used to separate sentences, to indicate pauses in a sentence, or to tell us that this is a part of a sentence. Okay, these are the marks. Punctuation marks are there in English to indicate, to make it very clear that this where the sentence ends, where a particular thought ends and the next thought starts. So this is a very important chapter which we have been doing, and it is only a kind of recap. It will be for you all. Since we already you are using punctuation marks in grammar and in all other subjects also, you've been using punctuation marks. Without punctuation marks, grammar cannot exist, no language can exist. And you have been practicing, only we will just refresh the rules once again. So let's get started with the capital letters and punctuations. So as I've already told you, punctuation marks indicate pauses, pauses in a sentence. Pauses when you are speaking, you take pauses. But when you are writing, if you don't indicate those pauses clearly, the meaning of the sentence gets lost. So punctuation marks are necessary to indicate pauses that are used to separate sentences or a part of a sentence from another, in order to give it a clearer meaning. So when I'm speaking, I pause. When I'm talking, also I pause. After every sentence, or every part of a sentence, I indicate a pause, so that whoever is listening to me understands what I mean to say. If I speak to you like, without taking any pause, you will say, stop, ma'am, please repeat, I couldn't understand what you're saying. So that is why punctuation marks are also important, very important when you are writing. So if you whenever you write an essay, sometimes I have told you in class also that please don't write very long sentences. When you write very long sentences without using full stops and commas, the sentence loses its meaning and the reader loses his interest in what you are saying. That is why punctuation marks are very essential. I have always told you that in essays also, please write short sentences. That are those shorter sentences are easier to understand using proper punctuation marks. Okay. So let us begin with capital letters and its use. So we all know that we always begin a new sentence with a capital letter. There's nothing new in this. We need capital letters to begin a new sentence. Also, we use capital letters for proper nouns like names of people, places, books, film titles, and you also know the names of rivers, mountain peaks, um, the names of languages, the names of countries, the names of cities, towns. All these are proper nouns, and you have to use a capital letter to indicate a proper noun. All of us know this rule by now, and you know that proper nouns always begin with a capital letter. So let us see an example of a sentence which has proper nouns in it. So Jenny is the name of a person. Jenny, who lived in King Street. King Street is the name of a street, that is the name of a place. Therefore, King and K and S are in capital. Manchester, again the name of a place, so M is in capital. Had a pet frog who liked to jump in the air. Again, there's a full stop, therefore we are using a capital S to start the next sentence. She wrote a book about it. called The Leaping Frog. So the name of the book, the title of the book, if you see, all the letters in the name of the book begin with a capital letter. Sometimes, although if I have Wings of Fire, suppose as my as the name of a book, so W and F, the most prominent words of the book, we will write in capital, and off we can write with a small o. Okay, the most prominent words in the title of the book we can capitalize. So what other things are capitalized? We all know that God is always capitalized. We refer to God in capital letters wherever the word God is used in any text. We will use G as capital. Okay, in God. The first person pronoun I is always capitalized. This also all of us know. Some children, they have the habit of still writing I in between a sentence. They write a small I for personal pronoun I. But when you are using I as a personal pronoun, you will always write it in capital letters. The first word of a salutation, this is very important when you're writing letters. There is a salutation when you're writing letters. The first word of a salutation is capitalized, and also the complementary clause along with the nouns associated with it. Complementary clause means when you are closing the letter, you write yours truly. That is also capitalized. So the salutation will read, example of a salutation, when you write a letter, dear sir. So D will be capital, also S will be capital. And we have repeated this many times when we are teaching you how to write a letter, that whenever you are writing the salutation, dear father, F, many children write this in small. This is wrong. Father, F capital, mother, F capital, aunt, dear aunt, if you're writing A capital, dear uncle, if you're writing U, also capital. So the nouns associated with the salutation, this is the meaning of this, along with the nouns associated with it. So sir is the noun, father is the noun when you're writing a salutation. So these will also be in capital letters, not in small letters. Okay, and when you're closing the letter also, so yours, Y is capital, yours truly, and whatever the name, obviously the name will be in capital letters. That is the noun. Whoever is writing the letter, his name will always be in capital, begin with a capital letter, because it is a proper noun. Also, the first word of each line of a poem is capitalized generally. Generally, it is capitalized, but if the line, suppose the first line is of a poem has not ended and it goes into the second line, then it may begin, not begin, every line may not begin with a capital letter. Suppose I say all things bright and beautiful. Second line, all creatures great and small. So all things bright and beautiful is a complete line. So the next line will also begin with a capital letter. All creatures great and small will also begin with a capital A. But suppose if I have a poem in which my first line is incomplete and the poet has written the second line as a continuation of the first line, in that case, then it will not be capitalized. If the sentence is complete, then the next line will be capitalized. We use capital letters to write a designation of distinction. So this is very, very important. Designation means a post. Distinction means importance. If there is a designation or a post which is very important and which is a unique post which nobody else holds, suppose the principal, there is only one principal in the entire school. So we will always write the P of principal with capital letters. Okay. Uh, then again, the president, there is only one president in every country. There's only one prime minister. So always write these designations of distinction with capital. President, prime minister, principal, all these are always capitalized. These are designations, posts which are distinct, which only one person occupies. The governor of a state, chief minister, all these are written with CNM capital. That is why we say CM. Capital CM is written in short form. So when you write chief minister, you will also write CNM capital. Then now we come to the punctuation marks. There are three kinds of punctuation marks: terminal punctuation marks, Then there are mid-sentence punctuation marks, and then there are miscellaneous other punctuation marks. Miscellaneous means other punctuation marks. So terminal, the word terminal means to end something. The my class is terminated means has come to an end, something which puts an end to something. So terminal punctuation marks are those which signify the end of a sentence. Okay. And it also tells us that now a new sentence is going to begin. There are three such terminal punctuation marks. The full stop, we all know that a full stop indicates that the sentence has come to an end. The question mark and exclamation mark. Okay. So a question mark and an exclamation mark are also indicate that the sentence has come to an end. So there are three terminal punctuation marks. The first is the full stop. So where is full stop used? Full stops are needed to divide up sentences so that we know where to pause. So we always know that when a sentence is complete, we need to put a full stop. If I have to say the window is open, full stop, close it, full stop. Okay. The window is open, full stop. Please close it or close it, full stop. So I need to divide my sentences so that the reader or the listener knows where the pause is. Okay. They are used when we have finished saying one thing and we are going on to say something else. Okay. Full stops are used when we are talking, we have finished a sentence and we want to speak about any other thing. So then we use a full stop. All of us know where to use a full stop. The only thing is we forget to use a full stop. And when it comes to grammar, transformation, synthesis, you know, even a comma and a full stop, you get zero. If not for not putting a comma and a full stop, you will get zero in class 9 and 10. That is why punctuation is so very important. I have told you before also. Now, a full stop is also used after abbreviations and initials. Abbreviation means short forms. Okay, whenever there are some words which we talk about in short form mostly, like MA, BA, MEd, BEd. So these when we are having a casual conversation, we do not generally say, have you done your Master of Arts, Masters of Art? We generally say, have you done your MA? Is he like has he finished his B.Ed, like that. So these are short forms. So abbreviations are acronyms or short forms, and these abbreviations are generally separated by full stops. Although nowadays a lot of people have a lot of in modern usage, we have done away with these full stops. Like UNO is also United Nations Organization is an abbreviated form. UNO is an abbreviated form of United Nations organizations, but we have done away with the full stops in those cases. We now don't put full stops. MBBS also, you will notice that previously we used to use M dot B dot B dot S dot. So now we have done away with it, and we can also write it as MBBS without full stops. So this usage has literally stopped, but still in language, we do recommend that you put full stops in between these abbreviations. Like for doctor, DR, engineer, we put ER. Okay, MA, BA, we put dots. So like Dr. APJ. Now this is the abbreviated form of short form of some words, but here initials, we are talking about initials. Initials means your name. If you have a first name, a middle name, and a surname, so you can write the initials of your name using a dot like Mr. A.K. Srivastav. So A dot K dot Srivastav. So Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam also had a very long name, Abul Pakir Jainuddin. So he used to write APJ Abdul Kalam. So A dot P dot, these are called initials. Okay, when a name has more than one word, like it has a middle, you have a middle name also, then you can write it write your initials separated by dots, full stops, separated by these full stops. Again, question marks, there is nothing much to explain. Whenever you ask a question, it is also called the interrogation mark. And whenever somebody is asking a question, we put a question mark. So whether it is a direct question or it is an indirect question, like a question tag, have you had your lunch? You have had your lunch, haven't you? Haven't you is an indirect question, so you will also put a question mark. Okay. Have you had your lunch is a direct question, you will put a question mark there also. So question mark, whenever you are asking a question, you have to put a question mark. Exclamation marks also in our terminal punctuation mark, they indicate that the sentence has come to an end, and the exclamation mark is used after any interjection. At the end of any exclamatory sentence, you use an exclamation mark. And you know that exclamation marks, what do they indicate? They give more emphasis to the sentence, or they show a sudden emotion, a sense of urgency, a sudden, to express a sudden emotion such as a surprise, praise, wonder, joy, sorrow. In these kind of exclamatory sentences, we use an exclamation mark at the end. In the end, you all know that. Sometimes we also use an exclamation mark after an imperative sentence. Suppose the teacher is saying to the student, get out of my class, get out, get out. You can put an exclamation mark because it has been said with a lot of, the teacher has shouted on the student. So it is expressing some uh, more emotion. Okay, so it has, the way it has been spoken, it has been spoken so loudly that you need to put an exclamation mark after an imperative sentence also sometimes, get out. Okay, like that. Mostly you use an exclamation mark after an exclamatory sentence. So now we come to the mid-sentence punctuation marks. So certain punctuation marks are required to be used within a sentence. In between a sentence, you need to put certain certain punctuation marks. Those are referred to as mid-sentence punctuation marks. So the main mid-sentence punctuation marks are the comma. That is the most important. The comma, then you have the semicolon, and then you have the colon. These are the mid-sentence punctuation marks. We most commonly, we use a comma as a mid-sentence punctuation mark. So commas, we need commas to separate items in a list. Like if we have a lot of things together of the same kind, we separate them using a comma. She had a ham sandwich, comma, a drink, comma, a jelly, and a chocolate bar for lunch. So there will be no comma here, sorry. After jelly, before and, you don't put a comma. She had a ham sandwich, a drink, comma, a jelly, and a chocolate bar for lunch. So what are the other places where a comma can be used? You have already done clauses. Now you know that we also use commas to separate the clauses in a complex sentence. So like I told you, if you have all done the if clause, the when clause, I have already told you that if the conditional, if the subordinate clause comes before the main clause, we put a comma. If the subordinate clause comes after the main clause, we don't need a comma. Like if you have read the book, comma, please, if you have read the book, comma, have your dinner. So if you have read the book, comma, because the subordinate clause is coming before the main clause. Okay. So whenever you have done the complex sentence, you know that to separate clauses in a complex sentence, if the subordinate clause comes before the main clause, you have to use a comma. The boy was playing with a football, comma, which had been signed by Wayne Rooney. So the boy was playing with a football, comma, which had been signed. So this is also a complex sentence which has used a relative adjective. So you have to put a comma here. Okay, and in case of complex sentences, when the subordinate clause comes before the main clause also in a complex sentence, you have to put a comma. Again, a comma is used to separate date or the month from the year. You know this, you have written letters. We have explained to you the format of the letter so many times that after you write the month, you have to put a comma and then write the date. Okay, 4th August, comma, 2020, full stop. This is how we have taught you when you are writing your letters, that you have to put a comma after you write the month. This is to separate the date or date and month from the year. Now, before the introduction of the reported speech, you have done direct and indirect speech. You know very well that when we are writing a sentence in a direct speech where we are quoting the exact words of the speaker, we put a comma immediately before we start the inverted commas. Before we write the reported speech, we have to put a comma. This all if you have done. And to indicate an omitted word in a parallel construction in a sentence, which means suppose I have a sentence, I like rice, my sister, comma, bread. So we have omitted which word? Omitted means we have left out like here. I like rice, my sister likes bread. We could have written, but we have omitted the word likes from this sentence. So we have put a comma. Therefore, we are able to understand, even if the word is not there, it is understood that I like rice, my sister likes bread. Okay, just we have omitted. Sometimes it is in English, we find text where this kind of sentence is written, where the actual word likes has been omitted here, not used, but still we can understand by the use of this comma that what I mean to say is that I like rice and my sister likes bread. Again, to separate, very important, we have done this when we were doing the non-defining and defining relative clause, when we were doing clauses chapter. To separate a non-defining relative clause from the rest of the sentence, I had taught you that a defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause can be distinguished how? When a non-defining relative clause is always separated by commas. And I have taught you this, that defining relative clause means that whatever information is there in the sentence is relevant to the sentence, defines the sentence, and is necessary and is a necessary part of that sentence. That is why we don't put a comma in case of defining relative clause. In case of non-defining relative clause, we put a comma. Why? Because her brother, who is a pilot, has been transferred. So this is an additional information. In this case, who is a pilot is an additional information about the brother. Even if we do not have this information, the sentence is complete. Her brother has been transferred. So when you have non-defining relative clauses, you have to separate them using commas. Now that you have done all the chapters, you know very well, you can go back and read that the major difference I had told you between the defining and non-defining relative clauses was this. One major difference was the putting of commas. So we have put a comma after the noun her brother, then who is a pilot, which is the additional information. Again, we have put a comma and written the rest of the sentence. Okay, those who have missed the class of clauses, please go back to the video and see what are defining and non-defining relative clauses. They are very important. Now, to separate items which might be mistakenly read together. Now, what he is not known to us. So if I did not have a comma here, so how would you read the sentence? What he is not known to us. You will say, why has there some misprint here? Why has is been repeated here? Okay. So if I don't separate, some of the sentences are such that if you don't put a comma, the meaning of the sentence is completely lost to the reader. The reader will not understand only what is mentioned. If I do not put a comma here, you will read that the word is has been repeated and I cannot understand what the sentence means. So if I put a comma here, it means what he is not known to us. So I'm pausing. What he is not known to us. That means we don't know what he is. Okay. So now we have understood the sentence. If without a comma, if we put two is together, you would not understand what the sentence means. Okay. So in such cases also, we need a comma to indicate the pause. Now semicolon. So semicolon is, how is it indicated? You put a semicolon has a full stop on top, and just below it we have a comma. So this is the symbol of a semicolon. Now semicolons are used to separate coordinate clauses. Now what are coordinate clauses? Everyone knows that when we join two independent clauses together using a coordinating conjunction, the two main independent clauses become coordinate clauses. All of you have done this when we were doing conjunctions also, that when we join two independent clauses together using a coordinating conjunction, the two independent clauses then are referred to as coordinate clauses. So if they are joined by such conjunctions as and, but, for, these are all coordinating conjunctions. However, therefore, these are subordinating conjunctions. So if you are joining two independent clauses using a coordinating conjunction and the two clauses become coordinate clauses, then you can put a semicolon. She has no money, therefore she cannot afford a servant. So you have to understand that a comma indicates a very short pause. A semicolon indicates a pause which is longer than a comma, but shorter than a full stop. So this semicolon is used when you have when you have two sentences and they are connected to each other. Okay, so you have not finished saying the sentence. She has no money. You're pausing. Therefore, she cannot afford a servant. Okay, it is a longer pause than a comma, and you will see that a comma separates only few words, and here you have a group of words which has been separated using a semicolon. In lists with internal commas, now if you read this example you will come to know that uh, this whole entire sentence has been separated by semicolons, because we are the entire sentence is one, talking about one particular place, but it has three parts. Okay, now let us read the sentence. The new colony has a grocery store, comma, a park and a swimming pool on one side. So this new colony, we are talking about the new colony. So on one side is very important here. On one side of the new colony, we have a grocery store, a park and a swimming pool. So these are shorter pauses: grocery store, park, swimming pool, we have separated with commas. Then we have put a semicolon because we have not finished our sentence yet. We want to tell something more about the new colony. We have not yet finished talking about new colony. So we have only mentioned what is there on one side of new colony. So therefore we put a semicolon, which is a longer pause than a comma. Then we continue saying a bakery, comma, stationery shop and a theater on the other side. Now one side we have talked about, we are talking about the other side. So our sentence is not complete. We have not put a full stop to the sentence. So a bakery, comma, stationery shop and a theater, sorry, on the other side. So we are referring to the other side now. Again, we put a semicolon and write well maintained rows of flats in the center. So the flats are in the center. So on one side, there is a grocery store, park and swimming pool. On the other side, there is a bakery, stationery shop and a theater. And in the center, we have a row of flats. So this is one complete sentence, but since we are talking about three different things in the same sentence, we are separating those parts using a semicolon. So I hope this is clear. Where will we use a semicolon? It is a longer pause than a comma. Again, semicolon is used to separate two main clauses when a conjunction is omitted. Suppose we have not used a conjunction. Like the example here, he has lost his friend. He is really sad. So we could have written he has lost his friend, so he is really sad. We wouldn't need a semicolon here because we are saying that we are using a conjunction in this case. He has lost his friend, so he is really sad. Therefore, he is really sad. But when I am, my sentence is incomplete. He is really sad. Why is he really sad? Because he has lost his friend. And I have not used a conjunction. In that case, we can use a semicolon also. Okay, because this is one sentence and this is another sentence completely. But since these two sentences are connected and we have omitted to write a conjunction, we have not written a conjunction, so we will separate it using a semicolon, which indicates that the sentence is not complete. We have just paused a bit. Okay, to separate clauses for the sake of emphasis. Also, certain clauses we want to emphasize upon certain things and therefore we use a semicolon. He wants money to spend, friends to talk, cars to drive about, a house to live in. So see, we are not separating words here. If there were only words to be separated, we would use the shorter pause comma. But we are writing about all the things he wants. He wants what? Money to spend. It's not a single word. So we are continuing. So it's a longer pause. Friends to talk, cars to drive about, a house to live in. So these are all the things he wants. Therefore, we have separated it using a semicolon. Now we come to the last mid-sentence punctuation mark, which is a colon. Now, colon, you all know, we all use it. If something is asked, we ask a question, give three reasons for this. So you write the three reasons for the rotation of the earth, or the three reasons for the change of seasons are colon. So we all use colon very often. Colon is indicated by two dots or two full stops, one on top of the other. So there are three main reasons for the failure of the government, colon. What are the three main reasons? Economic, social, and political. Now, between sentences, when the second sentence explains the first, like we can also say, uh, remember the old saying, colon. Which old saying? All that glitters is not gold. So this second sentence, all that glitters is not gold, is explaining the first sentence. Remember the old saying. Which old saying? Colon. All that glitters is not gold. So we often use colons for sentences like this. Okay. Uh, Things to remember, colon, and we write whatever things we have to remember. So that is how colon is used. To separate two contrasting statements. Again, there should have been a colon here, not a semicolon. So contrasting statements means statements which are saying something which is exactly opposite to each other. Two sentences which are saying, which mean completely opposite to each other. To err is human. Err means to make mistakes. To make mistakes is quite human. All human beings make mistakes. To forgive is divine. But to forgive someone who has made a mistake is the quality of God. Divine quality means godlike. So these are two contrasting statements, and we can separate it using a colon. To err is human, to make mistakes is human, but to forgive someone is divine. Now we come to the miscellaneous punctuation marks. Miscellaneous means other punctuation marks. These were punctuation marks which are used at the end of the sentence. Terminal punctuation marks were used at the end of the sentence. Mid-sentence punctuation marks were used in between the sentence. And miscellaneous punctuation marks, you will come to know what are miscellaneous punctuation marks. We begin with the apostrophe. The apostrophe is mainly used to form the possessive of nouns and to form certain contractions. Contractions means the short forms. Like in grammar, we have a lot of contractions. We write I've for I have, don't for do not, the honorable, like we haven't written the entire spelling, but we have put an apostrophe after HON and BLE, and we have missed out certain letters here. And that is the short form or contracted form of the honorable. So we also use a lot many. We use we've, I've, we've, they've, I'll, they'll, okay, she'll. We use a lot of contractions and in English, and therefore these contractions, when we write the short form, we put an apostrophe, and we know how apostrophe is written. It is like a comma on top. Okay. As a sign in possessive case. Possessive case means when you are showing belongings, the child's bag, the woman's bag, the children's school, the boys book. Okay. So whenever we are talking about some belonging, we use the apostrophe in those cases. Also, a very important thing which I would like to tell you here, please make a note of it. You all make mistakes whenever we are talking about someone in plural. Like if I'm talking about the dog's bone, if I'm talking about one dog's bone, I will put the apostrophe before the S, dog apostrophe S. But if I'm talking about plural. I'm talking in plural about a lot of dogs. So I will put the apostrophe after the S, the dog's bones. So when I'm talking about plural, the bones of the dogs, not the bone of a dog, but I'm talking about the bones of dogs. Then I will write the dogs. After S, I will put an apostrophe and then bones. Excuse me. Another very important thing is, suppose there is a surname which is Chandra's. So I'm talking about the Chandra's house. So the Chandra's is a surname. Their surname is Chandra, and I'm talking about the Chandra's house. So their house, it is not only the house of one person living there, but it is the house of the Chandras. Okay, so then I will also put right Chandras and put the apostrophe after the S, because I'm talking about all the people who are Chandras living in that house. Again, suppose there is a proper noun which ends with the letter S. Suppose my a boy's name is James. James is already ending in S. Then what will you do? Suppose James' father. If I have to write James' father and the boy's name is already ending with S, then I will write the apostrophe after the S. I will not write James's father. James apostrophe S. That is wrong. I will write James apostrophe. It is understood that the name is ending with S, and therefore I have put the apostrophe after the S, and it means the father of James. Okay, do not write James's father, and it is given in your book on page number 161, and it is wrong. It is the wrong way of writing. We never write this. We write James apostrophe father, which means the father of James, and we will not write James's father. What is given in your book is wrong. Again, if you have to use an apostrophe for words, for compound words like sister-in-law, brother-in-law, father-in-law, then if I say uh, my father-in-law's uh, house, my father-in-law's house, so you will put the apostrophe after law, apostrophe S. Okay, not father's in-law. Now, these are few contractions in grammar. Does not, doesn't, had not, hadn't, have not, haven't. This is how we use the apostrophe. He is, he's, he will, he'll, he would, he'd, he would is written as he'd, he had, he'd, here is, here's. Okay, so these are the contractions in grammar. Now, the next miscellaneous punctuation mark is the hyphen. The hyphen, like the apostrophe, is used between the letters of a word. Between the letters, like I just told you, it is used to form compound nouns or compound adjectives like father-in-law. So this is between the letters of a word. Father-in-law is one word, and between father-in-law, we have put two hyphens. Okay, so it is a compound noun. If I have to say passers-by, so passers-by means somebody who is passing by. It is a noun. We're talking about a person. It is a noun. So passers-by, we write as passers a hyphen by. Okay. This is a four-footed table. So four-footed is describing the table. Okay. So since four-footed, we have put a hyphen to indicate that this is a compound adjective. We have combined two words to create an adjective to describe the table. And therefore, we are putting a hyphen in between four and footed. Now, with compound numbers, you all know when we were small, we were writing number names. The teachers used to tell us to put a dash between when writing numbers from 21. 21, we usually put a hyphen. Okay, we were taught this way, 21, 22, put a hyphen in between with some prefixes. Prefixes means there are some words which are added to make words, like if I say vice captain of a school. So vice is a prefix which is added before captain. So vice hyphen captain, ex serviceman means X is a prefix. X hyphen serviceman, great grandmother, great hyphen grandmother, re-entry. So re hyphen entry, re is a prefix. Okay. If I don't write, put a hyphen between re-entry, there will be a problem in pronunciation as well as reading the word, because REENTRY. So there will be two E's together. Therefore, we have to separate it using a hyphen. Re-entry, it will become re-entry. So I have to put a hyphen before such uh, words. Okay. It will be difficult to read otherwise. Okay, now next will be quotation marks, and all of us know, are very familiar with the quotation marks. We also call them inverted commas, and quotation marks are of two types. There can be single inverted commas and double inverted commas, and British usage favors single inverted commas, whereas Americans use double inverted commas. So the primary use, what is the primary use of inverted commas? We know that we enclose the direct speech between inverted commas. You have already done direct, indirect. So when we are quoting the exact words of the speaker, we enclose them between quotation marks. And this is the primary use of inverted commas. Again, if you see that if you have to, whenever you quote something directly from a book, you can use quotation marks. If you are telling someone uh, a particular quotation, there is a quotation, and you are telling someone that, do you know honesty, you must be knowing that honesty is the best policy, then you can put quotation marks. If you are referring if you want to emphasize or draw attention to a particular word in a sentence, then also you can use single quotation marks, single inverted commas. Inverted commas are also used to indicate the titles of books, poems, stories, films, etc. when you are talking about them in a sentence. Okay, whenever we are talking, have you read the book? Have you read the uh, have you read the book and the name of the book? Suppose I say David Copperfield. Have you read the book David Copperfield? And I can put David Copperfield in single inverted commas. Okay, like that. These are the uses of quotation marks. So I will be on TV someday. This is a direct speech. So we have included this within inverted commas. Announced Jimmy. Full stop. Just you wait and see is again the direct exact words of Jimmy, and therefore we put it within inverted commas. So this is all we have to do about punctuation marks. I hope you have understood. And once you go back from this class, you have to open your book and revise it. And you will be able to solve the exercises given easily if you have paid attention. You have to just go and revise punctuation marks, and you will be able to solve the exercises. Thank you.